Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. In this edition of the program, Nigerian basketball teams begin zonal qualifiers. And coming in from athletics, we can tell you that it is day 5 at the Olympic Games, and Super Falcons are expected to face Japan today in a crucial leg game. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Corruption not in my country.
Driver, why you just dey jack us up and down like this now?
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask oh?
Because this road where they see so, it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey, light o usai, the infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, spoil everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No vex, now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
Their behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akin Fade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
enough to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have with me Kingsley Manuel.
Thanks for having me, sir. Very happy to be here this morning.
Of course, we start from the local scene here, and of course, following the dearth of facilities across the country, modern facilities, so to say, the Bauchi State government is putting up every effort to ensuring that the Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi is renovated to a world-class standard. We understand it will be upgraded to a 30,000 capacity sports arena. Kingsley.
Yes, I think for me it's a good one. If you look at the nature of facilities we have in the country, it's not been that palatable at all. You take a look at the situation of things, you know, and preparation of athletes, you know, ahead of the Olympic Games. Sometimes we don't have, you know, these facilities to be able to prepare our athletes. And sometimes the athletes, of course, do not want to, of course, reside in the country because we don't have, you know, those things, those facilities that can possibly aid their performance. Just for example, the continental games that the MPFL teams will play in, the likes of Yimba, Remo Stars, you talk about Economy Warriors. Most of these teams, of course, will be playing at home. Even Enugu Rangers that won the league last time, they were playing away from home. They were playing at the Goslak International Stadium. Economy Warriors, of course, will be playing at the Moshood Bella Stadium. It was only the likes of Remo Stars, of course, that got the nod of playing at their home ground. So for me, I think it's then time for we to look at, you know, developing the facilities we have in the country. This will help, of course, not only to maybe stage tournament, but also to, you know, enhance, you know, the performance of our athletes in terms of training. When they train with the best of facilities, of course, you tend to have the best of performance when it has to do with, you know, them participating in global competition. And for me, I think it's a good initiative from the Bauchi State government.
It's even more pathetic if you remember that CAF have said that it's only one stadium in the whole of Nigeria that is available to continental tides at a very crucial stage. Yes, you could have some that could be managed at the preliminary stages, but when it comes to crucial stages of CAF organized competition, only the Godswill Akpabio Stadium is up to standard. So if the Bauchi State government can ensure that there's complete revamping of the Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi, it will be nice. It is not just about the playing turf. We're talking about football. There are still some other facilities attached to this stadium, like the Olympic-sized Bauchi swimming pool. There is the Games Village, and of course the Sania Bacha Gymnasium. Not forgetting the multi-purpose sports hall as well. All of these facilities has to be top-notch.
Yes, all of these facilities have to be top-notch. We talk about, you know, the swimming pool. We understand that Lagos State government are also trying to set up a swimming pool as well, you know, for athletes, you know, to get themselves trained. And now Bauchi State are also going in that same direction. I think for me, if other states can also imbibe this, maybe in the coming Olympic Games, we should be looking forward to having, you know, swimmers, you know, participating for the country. Just like this Paris Olympic game, we're not even seeing, you know, Nigeria participating in, you know, swimming, whereby we have a lot of rivers around, but we don't, you know, venture in those sports. And for me, I think it will be a good initiative if other states, of course, you know, imbibe and, you know, actually, you know, take a look at this and also see how to develop, you know, this particular one. And for me, talking about gymnasium, the last time, of course, you know, we saw a gymnast at the Olympic Games was the Tokyo Olympic Games, which was AK. His performance wasn't that very fantastic, though he wasn't actually breed down here in Nigeria. But since then, we've not even talked about, you know, gymnastics, you know, in the country. These are sports. This is a sport that other countries, of course, venture into and trying to make sure they actually, you know, grab medals when it has to do with maybe participating in the Olympic Games or probably any other global competition. I think for me, if all of these facilities are being put in place, it will give us that opportunity to be able to harness athletes that can perform in those sports, and as well increase the number of sports Team Nigeria, of course, will be participating when it has to do with the Olympics and the rest of the global competition. Just like the ongoing Olympic where Nigeria participating in 12 sports, so far so good. It has not been a very good outing. So for me, I think putting up these facilities in place will really help our athletes to be able to put up a very impressive performance out there.
Away from the upgrading of facilities here in Nigeria, let's take a look at basketball now. Talking about basketball reminds me that Nigeria's male and female under 18 national basketball teams have arrived at Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, ahead of the FIBA under 18 qualifying tournament slated for the last. In fact, they've been running through to the 4th of August. They did arrive a couple of days ago, and the Fiesta in Paris has shown that yes, you need to put your very best. The girls have seen what the Tigers have done, and especially the under 18 girls need to even prepare themselves even better ahead of this tournament.
Yes, for me, I think it's a good one. At least we're seeing the FIDA's team in basketball down here, of course, trying to live up to expectation. And I think the Basketball Federation, of course, are also trying to see how they can put up basketball proper, in the country. It's not been a rosy one for some years now when it has to do with basketball. And now we're seeing the, under 18 team as well, putting up this gesture. We hope, of course, just like you mentioned, they will pick inspiration from what the D Tigers, did in their last game in the Paris Olympic game. Was really, really an impressive performance. And I think so many athletes, of course, actually, picked inspiration from what they did. I will hope, of course, they'll be able to go there and see what they can be able to do. And of course, when you talk about basketball in Africa, we're always there at any point in time. So I believe that will be the same spirit that the girls will be going out there, of course, to showcase.
I saw this girl, the boys, especially at the basketball pitch here in Port Harcourt, and Football Yenabo, the coach of the team, said they were just going to do their very best and do represent the country. He is the coach of the under 18 boys, while former national point guard Juliana Akere is in charge of the young ladies of Nigeria. These are the girls expected to take over from the Izzy and of course others that are doing the country very proud at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, we hope so. It's not just by this. I think a lot of work have to be done. You talk about the likes of Ezine Kalu, talk about the likes of Amu Kamara, and the rest of them. These are girls, that apply their trade, outside the country. So when it has to do with, we're looking forward to see them replacing. It's going to take a whole lot, for we to say. When you if you even take a look at the D Tigers team, the home-based players, are not there. They're not there. So that's the thing. So that's why I said it's going to be a very tall one for them. But I think if they actually put their heads on ground and see how they can put themselves in order, possibly they can be that opportunity where they can be selected to represent the country, because you need a lot of experience, you need the facilities to train, you have to be active. You take a look at the nature of basketball down here in the country. We don't have an active basketball league, and this, of course, is a setback, when it has to do with the growth of basketball, in the country. So for me, I think if they actually put their game right and see how they can further their career, possibly they can, of course, stand that chance of replacing the likes of the Ezine Kalu and the rest of them in the D Tigers. Well,
under 18 boys and girls in Abidjan for a continental tournament that will definitely process them for stardom in the years ahead. Meanwhile, it is day 5 at the Olympic Games ongoing in Paris, France, and it is not good news coming from Team Nigeria's camp because Nigerian sprinter Favour Ofili, of course, you know her in the 100 meters and 200 meter event, expressed her frustration so badly that she's saying that she just didn't understand why she will not be competing in 100 meters race events. She left Nigeria as an entrant into the 100 meters event, but in Paris, she was just informed that she was not entered into the 100 meters event by the Nigerian Olympic Committee and by extension, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. And this is really shocking. You don't take somebody on board a flight all the way from Nigeria down to Paris, and with the hope that she was going to, in fact, in her words, she has prepared for 4 years for these Olympics, and she's not taking part in the 100 meters event. This is very shocking. I don't understand, but for me, this is the highest level of maladministration you can find with the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, and by extension, the Nigerian Olympic Committee that enters athletes for the Olympic events.
Very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. When I saw the news yesterday, I was like, what is actually the problem, with Nigeria? Because this is a very huge event. This lady has taken her time, 4 years, to prepare for just a moment, and then, our hope and effort was just being tarnished within a second. It's very, very disturbing, very, very disappointing as it is. I don't understand why things like this, of course, will continue to happen, in sport down here in Nigeria. Why will you fail to register an athlete name that you know that, in fact, Favour Philly is one of our medal hopeful, and at the end of the day, you fail to register? What could be the problem? I don't think we're doing things right down here in the country.
Someone said yesterday when this news broke that the Athletics Federation of Nigeria and by extension the Nigeria Olympic Committee may not have entered her for the 100 meters event because she's involved in the 200 meters and the 4x100 meters relay event. And for me, this is expected. Why will you not register her? For the 3 events, they say you don't want her to burn out and all of this. But for me, there's no wisdom in it. If you don't want to, if you think she's been overloaded, at least she should be aware that she's not going to be part of
because
it.
She was prepared to
participate, and she should be aware. But it's shocking that for up till this moment, we've not had any response yet from the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, nor from the Nigeria Olympic Committee that enters athletes for the Olympic events for Team Nigeria. Kingsley, this is shocking even more that and depressing for Favour Philly, because this is not the first time. If you remember, at the last Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan, she was one of the 12 Nigerian athletes that could not participate because of another mix-up between the Nigeria Olympic Committee and the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, not ensuring that all the athletes that were not in the country were properly tested. And doing this to her again on the consecutive Olympic Games looks one too many to take for a boarding athlete.
Honestly, it's very, very disappointing. I wonder why, this, of course, will continue happening. It means we've not learned our lesson. What happened last time in Tokyo? That's what it means. Because if these things like this could be happening, just days ago, we heard that Ogunsimilore, one of the Nigerian boxer, of course, was actually being found guilty of taking a prohibited substance. Why? These are things that are supposed to be checked properly before this athlete head down to the Olympic Games. And now we're getting another disappointing news that Favour Philly was not registered to participate in the 100 meters event. What could be the problem? It means those at the helm of affairs are not competent. That's what it means. It means they are not competent at all, because if all of this is happening, it means they are not doing their job right. It
is one too many for the Nigerian Olympic Committee. Even in basketball, it was reported that the Nigerian Basketball Federation President Musa Kida could not speak with the D-Tigress before the match against the opponents from Australia because he was denied entry, to where the girls were before the game, because he was not, entered as one of those who can, be with the girls at pre-match. And this is looking even more disturbing. The president of Nigerian Basketball Federation not being given pass, to see the basketball team of Nigeria.
That's another sad news as well, or disappointing one, we have this point in time. It means, when you take a look at the preparation we actually boasted before the Olympic, it means we did nothing. Because when you take a look at it, so far so good. It's been an abysmal performance, for the events we participated in boxing, in table tennis. It's not been that fantastic. Even in football, where we saw the Super Falcons fumbling. I think for me, the best of preparation has not been done. We were not organized. We even saw what happened at the opening ceremony, where the Tigers team, of course, were actually being, sidelined in entering the boat and all of that. This is all, it's as a result of lack of preparation.
Yeah, talking about the experience of the basketball team as well at the opening ceremony, they had a 2 hours drive from Lille to Paris. And we understand because they were not in Paris, the basketball team and the football team that were outside of Paris were asked not to be part of it. But the Olympic Committee, the Nigerian Olympic Committee, could not even inform them, not to be part of the opening ceremony because of distance. They allowed them come all the way from Lille to Paris. and only to discover that out of the 88 athletes, only 41 had passed to be on the boat, that was to go take part in the opening ceremony on the River Seine. And it meant that they had to go back. And because of the distance, there was fatigue. In fact, they missed their morning training session because of the mix-up between these two. And this could have been avoided completely.
Honestly.
I really don't get it, but there's still a lot of mix-up in terms of organization around. This is Nigeria's 17th, in fact, 18th Olympic Games. And I'm not too sure we've learned lesson in all of the other 17 that we have attended. But these little logistic issues shouldn't have arisen at all. Yes, there could be a little bit of mix-up, but this is one too many. We've pointed out like 4 of the mix-up already with Team Nigeria, and it's only day 5 at the Olympic Games in Paris. Who says there won't see further mix-up? It's regrettable, but we'll continue. And talking about performances at the Olympic Games for Team Nigeria, with just 5 days on the card already, it looks like it is the end of the road for our badminton play, because Kweyeri, the team leader of the Nigerian team at the Olympic Games, has suffered a very disappointing start to the Olympic Games badminton event. Kingsley, he lost in straight sets to Switzerland Tobias Quincy in the Group N match.
Yes, it was a disappointing start for Perry.
21-13, 21-13.
Yeah, 2-0 it ended in that one. And for me, we thought, just like you mentioned before that game, that he was going to take inspiration from what he did Tigres did heading down to that one. But, it was a difficult outing, for him. But we hope he's going to bounce back, of course, in the second game. I think there's still opportunity for him to see how he can put himself, right. He's the best when it has to do with badminton in the country. And if our best is not good enough in the global stage, that means we have a lot to do. It means we're not up to standard. So we just hope that...
This is when he lose to a player ranked 181. That's really, really... do I say is setback for Kweyeri, who is ranked number 10.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's a really disappointing. But this is what we're talking about. Exposure also matters. When you get down to the main stage, that is where, of course, your strength will be tested. And now his strength, of course, is an African champion. Is one man who was participating in the first badminton player to participate in the Olympic game back-to-back. He was there in the Tokyo Olympic Games and now at the Paris Olympic Game. In fact, he's the best that we have in terms of badminton. It means we really have to do more, in his second encounter and see what, of course, he can be able to put up there. We hope that, of course, he will be able to learn from this setback and bounce back strongly in the next encounter.
Talking about setback for Team Nigeria, we understand now that it's even getting from bad to worse, because Cynthia Ogusumilore has been asked to be removed from the Games Village out there in Paris. The International Olympic Committee actually made the demand as a result of the female boxer's current situation. Kingsley, the 60 kg female boxer is being asked to not just be suspended from Olympic Games, but to leave the Olympic camp as well.
Yes, she, of course, after the result came out that she took a prohibited substance, she was very angry. In fact, she cried and said that she's not guilty, that probably maybe there might be a mix-up, in the result, that she has never taken any prohibited substance. And she said that she's not going to leave, that she will stay and then, try to see if there can be a retest to see if there can be, something, positive for her. And that's why she has remained down there. And now it's getting worse at the moment that she has been asked to leave. And you don't know how, her welfare, of course, will actually look like, at this point in time, because she's been there trying to see how she can clear her name, and that maybe they're just trying to sabotage her image and trying to stop her from participating at the Olympic event. So for me, it's really a controversial one at the moment. And these are things that we're supposed to have probably done our homework properly before heading down to the Olympics, where the athletes properly tested. That's the big question. We hope that we don't hear more of this going forward in the competition, because so far it's really been an abysmal outing for Team Nigeria. This was not what Nigerians expected, heading down to the Olympic game, especially when you take a look at the level of preparation and how prepared most of the federations, of course, were before heading down to the Olympics. So it's really a sad one for Ogusumilore, and we hope that maybe she actually look for a way to get herself, intact. It has happened. It has happened. Whatever has happened, maybe it was a misplaced result or whatever, but she has to maybe buckle up and see how she can, get back to herself, and how I look forward, maybe in the subsequent Olympic, games, and put up a performance as well.
A Nigerian female boxer being asked, of course, to leave the Games Village in Paris after being suspended for doping violation, and we hope that she will have to leave voluntarily because she could be ejected if she continues to remain at the Games Village out there in Paris. It is day 5 at the Olympic Games ongoing in Paris, and today the Super Falcons of Nigeria will take on their counterparts from Japan. When we return from the break, we'll tell you what this encounter will look like and what the fate of the Super Eagles could be like in a win, draw, or lose situation. All when we return from the break.
Corruption not in my country.
Kasali, I hope so my car don't ready. I get interview in 30 minutes.
Okay, you not ready. I just the last minute instruction where you give me yesterday. Now in the cause more delay.
Which instruction?
Maybe now you say make I change the meter, make you no read again.
Which time I make you change meter? Oh, Kasali, why you do like this now? Eh? You don't get sense. You don't read the text message. Nobody I want send them to. Like Kasali, my electrician, make you come house, call me, do my meter so that you don't go to read again. You know electrician?
Your electrician?
Yes, now.
So you call Kasali electrician, make it come help you adjust your meter, make it for no read again, Abi. So you said you want join people where be say they no want they pay NEPA bill again, Abi. Oga, you know good now. You don't you said you don't behave like all these stiff people.
Oh, what you change from your motor? What you change from?
Full light. Fuel gauge. Speedometer.
For what thing are you for? Come on for home my motor. I bet you identify for me.
Okay. Now don't do something we corrupt. Do something come backfire. Now go come they find how to dodge them.
What you talk?
They greet you.
Corruption not in my
This
country.
message is brought to you by the Akin Fadayi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
And with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
What you want to buy?
Potato. Small baskets. I want plantain. But why your plantain can't hard like this?
Madam, now the outside hard. Inside there, it is very soft.
Madam, wallahi make her no buy 'em. Make her show you something. What? What in be this one? Madam, this one now the chemical where they put on for the plantain make her ripe up.
Hey? So you dey put chemical for plantain where people go chop?
Now water, no be chemical.
Madam, water. You know say Pela I don't talk and say water and not be enemy. Drink 'em.
Where you collect that water, drink 'em.
I just stop finish. See my belly. I found it don't big. I just stop drink water finish. I don't
drink. Wait, you drink 'em now. I dey sell am plantain, I go come put am for chemical because I want to make a ripe. That's why I talk now corruption. Corruption. Not be for this kaswa, come not be for this country. Now me take 'em.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadayi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
And with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Killing him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and of course we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happening around the world of sport. Earlier I told you about how in a bid to meet up with a standard facility, Bauchi State government is trying to revamp the Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi, upgrading it to a 30,000 capacity stadium. Beyond the pitch, football pitch, there is a need as well to revamp the swimming pool, the multipurpose hall, and the other facilities attached to the Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi. And we've told you how it is day 5 today, but before then we've had a series of maladministration and mix-up between the officials and athletes representing Nigeria at the Olympic Games. Team Nigeria not getting it right in that, but at least 4 sports disciplines has already been decided so far at the Olympic Games. But well, there's still hope, and one of the hope could be coming from the Super Falcons of Nigeria, who so far have lost games at the ongoing Olympic Games. Kinsley, Nigeria takes on Japan today in their last group game. They played 2 games so far, narrowly losing by a 1-goal margin. A lot of people think that Nigeria could be crashing out of the competition today, but depending on the scoreline, they still have a rare hope of coming through the window. Do I say they are not coming through the back door now, the front door? They could come through the window or through the back door, depending on results from the other matches.
Yeah, it's actually not a very good one for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. It's been an abysmal performance, I would say, because losing 2 games and not even attempting to win one is not really a good one. They are at the verge of elimination so far, because playing Japan today is going to be a very difficult one. This is a Japan side that beats, I think, Brazil. And if Brazil, of course, were able to get past the Super Falcons and Japan came to defeat them, what is the possibility that the Super Falcons will be able to get past Japan, of course, in today's encounter? I take a look at the way they've played. They've not been fantastic in terms of, utilizing their chances up front. They've been highly defensive, but hitting on the counter and getting to finish, getting the very good finish has been the problem. And it is not a very good one we've seen so far at this point in time. And the coach, Ron the Wardrum, I think he should actually devise a means. It's not a must that you must actually, put up a very tight defense, and at the end of the day, you don't get the goals. You have to win your games. It's not about how you play, but it's all about the result. Result is a result that matters at the end of the day. A result that takes you to the next level. So what's the essence of putting up a very good defense, and at the end of the day, you still concede and still do not get the 3 points? So I think Ron the Wardrum should take a look at his tactics today and see what he can be able to do. If the Super Falcons get to win today and at least get a little bit of a very good goal margin, that will really help them, because they also have to depend on Brazil to also get beaten Spain. That will be, of course, what will give them that chance of getting through, or else, it might be another disappointing outing for them at the Olympic Games.
Talk about the Super Falcons of Nigeria. They having lost 2 games. Will be playing their 3rd fixture in the group today against the Japanese ladies, and it promises to be tight. There is provision for, unlike the male, there's provision for the female to at least have the 3rd best placed teams come through to the quarterfinal stage of the competition. But I wish the girls luck. Wardrum has to really show that these girls can score. We've seen them have goal scoring opportunities, but they've flopped them in the earlier 2 games they have played. But in fact, they have to show the Nigerian spirit in this encounter. And talking about men football at the Olympic Games, Africa is not doing badly. If you remember, we've had Egypt, haven't qualified, and Morocco haven't qualified for the quarter-final stage of the competition. We had Egypt beat Spain by 2-1 as well. Spain, no doubt, known as a emerging power in the world football, beaten by the Egyptians 2-1. It ended last night.
Yes, for me, I think it was a very good outing for the Egyptians down there. Getting past Spain, I think that for me was a very huge result for them. We understand the pedigree of the Spanish national team when it has to do with football in any stage at all. And for Egypt, of course, getting past...
Talk about pedigree. They lost to Brazil last time in the quarter-final stage of the competition.
Yeah, they lost to Brazil. But when you take a look at it, they've actually gotten that improvements. The female football, the male football, even the FIDA's team as well. They have been fantastic for the past 2 to 3 years now. So for Egypt, getting past them, for me, I think is a good one from what we're seeing at this point in time. We're also seeing, other African countries, of course, pulling through in this one.
Talking about other African countries, Morocco beat Iraq by 3-1.
For me, I think a little bit expected, because take a look at football pedigree between both countries. You definitely, of course, will give it up to Morocco for being able, of course, to put up huge level of football development in the country for some time now.
Talking about African representation at the male football event at the Olympic Games ongoing in Paris, United States of America walloped Guinea by 3-0. Another African representative losing there.
Yeah, for me, I think it was actually expected. You don't give Guinea that chance against the United States of America, no matter what. United States of America, at least, not really recognized in terms of football, but has that little bit of football pedigree, ahead of Guinea. So for me, I think it was really an expected result for me.
In yet another African loss in the football event at the at the Olympic Games, Mali not seem to be giving their best so far. They lost again to Paraguay by 1-0.
Yes, another disappointing outing for another African side, talking about Mali. I think they should have probably get that one done. As it was, for me, I think a stiff encounter, but I think the Paraguay side were just able to get that goal and got past them. I think for me, Mali, of course, should step up from what we've seen at this point in time. At least other African countries are stepping up. We should also see them contending, and disappointing outing for them in that encounter.
It wasn't a disappointing outing for France because they beat New Zealand by 3 unreplied goals.
Impressive one for them. Of course, you expect France, of course, to be able to get New Zealand in at any stage of the competition, and that's what, of course, that they just did, and we hope they continue, because in the past couple of years we've seen France dominating, with the world of football, and it was so unfortunate for them in the last Euros. But for me, I think they have that football pedigree ahead of New Zealand.
Talking about dominance in football, Argentina is no doubt a dominant country when it comes to football. They've shown it so far in the fixture against Ukraine. They beat Ukraine by 2-0 at the ongoing Olympic Games.
Yeah, for me, Argentina, I think that's a huge comeback for them. Remember what happened in their first outing, where, of course, we saw a controversial win, of course, I think by Morocco. And they have to, of course, see how they can relieve that one to bounce back. And this time, they have to, of course, deal with Ukraine. And for me, that's a way of, bouncing back. They are champions. They are World Cup world champions. They are also continental champions. And now they also want to do it at the Olympic Games. And I think it's not far from them.
Why it is mixed fortune for Africa at the football event at the for men at the Olympic Games. It is one of very high hope when it comes to the long distance race at the Olympic Games, because Kenya's Eli Kipchoge is aiming for his 3rd gold medal at the marathon event in Paris. The 39-year-old, who will also become the first Kenyan to make 5 appearances at the Games, is billed for action later today.
It's going to be a very impressive one, of course, to watch out for. This would be a very huge record for the man if he gets this one, done and dusted. He's been in the Olympics several times, 39 years of age, and still competing in a very, very fine fashion. You must give it up to the man. And getting this one, of course, will mean a whole lot for him as well, for Kenya, as it says. And we look forward to see what, of course, he'll be able to put up this time, at the Olympic Games.
Talking about Olympic Games ongoing in Paris, there has been a little bit of misfortune as well. COVID-19 is ravaging some of the camps, Kingsley.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that COVID-19 is still potent?
It's very disturbing, Mr. Siri. I didn't see this coming at all. I didn't actually see this coming, because after the Tokyo Olympic Games, where, I think there were severe measures to curb COVID, because that was the COVID time. We thought, of course, after 2-3 years now, we shouldn't be hearing anything about COVID. But we're getting a report that some of the athletes, of course, contracted COVID, and so many others have been quarantined, not to participate due to how the virus, of course, transmits and all of that. So they don't want to make sure they curb the spread of the virus. It's been a very, very disturbing one. I think it's something we didn't expect to hear, but it is what it is. We hope the organizers will try as much as they can to see how they can actually, curtail the spread of the virus.
The Olympic Games, the biggest football sports events around the world, and nations are beginning to use the opportunity as well to assert themselves. If you talk about the Olympic Games, one of these champions have been the United States of America, and they continue to show it so far in Paris. And one athlete who has continued to show her dominance is Simone Biles, who led the United States to a dominant victory in the women's gymnastics event. This is not the first time we've seen Biles, in this one. This is her 5th career gold medal in the gymnastics.
Yes, for me, I think Simone Biles has actually shown herself, when it has to do with the gymnastic events. I remember last time at the Tokyo Olympic events where she had a little bit of a disappointing performance. I think she had an injury down there where she didn't get, her landing right.
Right.
Yes, and then, coming back at that the Paris Olympic Games, she
made the mental health very popular.
Yeah, very popular. And then coming back to the Paris Olympic Game, she's been able, of course, to put herself right, getting a gold medal for the United States of America. I think it means a whole lot for her, and of course for the Americans. And we hope, of course, she continue with this impressive performance. When it has to do with gymnastics, I tell you, she's number 1.
If you're looking for medal at any sports event, then enter into swimming, and this is where they have a lot of medals. And the United States of America and Great Britain are beginning to rake in medals from the swimming event, Kingsley.
Yes, this is a sport that, of course, you definitely will give it up to them in terms of swimming. You know, they have what it takes, you know, to be able to pull the strings down there. And I think putting up that impressive performance we saw yesterday was another huge one. This is where, of course, you always see them, you know, grabbing a lot of medals, and they have started. And of course, I wish them the very best as well going forward.
Well, United States of America and Britain are raking medals from the pool out there. Talking about some shocking happenings around the Olympic Games, Kingsley is on the tennis court. Andy Murray is pushing in, and right now in the doubles event, we've seen Carlos Alcaraz and his mentor Rafael Nadal, you know, making progress as well into the quarterfinal stage of the tennis event at the Olympics.
For me, I think it's a good one. Seeing both, you know, Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal, you know, playing together in the doubles event, for me, it's actually was a very lovely one, of course, to watch out for. We saw the performance, you know, both.
This is despite he's been knocked out in the singles event by Novak Djokovic.
Yeah. I think for me, it wasn't something he would probably rely on so much, because he knows that he wasn't in the best of form. Even Djokovic actually confirmed after the victory that that was not Rafael Nadal's, you know, he wasn't in the best of form, you know, as it is. So I think for me, it wasn't something for him to rely on. But at the doubles, I think with Alcaraz, we're going to see that pair. Those both players, you know, understand themselves. In fact, Alcaraz has been learning so much, you know, from the man. And I think having both of them, of course, playing is actually a very huge one. I will hope to see them, of course, progressing and maybe down to the finals of this particular one.
What's the British doing in the tennis event? We understand that number 1 player, British player Jack Draper, has faded into the sweltering heat in Paris because the singles event for him ended at the second round.
For me, a disappointing one for Jack Draper. And I think the British player, they've not lived up to expectation, and it's been a very disappointing one, even at the Olympic Games. It's been a disappointing one. We saw Jack Draper, of course, dropping to Telefraise yesterday, and Andy Murray, of course, also has not been a very good performance.
He's powering on.
Yeah, he's powering on. We understand, you know, how difficult it's been. I think he was also eliminated in the singles.
Dan Evans is still in it as well.
Yeah, they never want to see it, but how far can he go? Emma Raducanu, of course, actually you know, opted out from this because she knows that she's not in the best of form. So for me, it's really been a very huge decline for the British players, you know, for some years now. And who will be the person, of course, that's the question that will possibly put them back, you know, on the limelight, because they've not been fantastic. Cameron Norrie, Jack Draper, Andy Murray, Danny Evans, we've not seen them living up to expectation, you know, for some time now. And we hope to see probably maybe for Evans to see how far, of course, he'll be able to go in the competition this time.
Talking about how far you can go, Andy Murray has hinted that he was going to retire after the Olympic Games, but haven't qualified for the quarterfinal of the event. He is now saying that he's not certain yet on when to leave the courts.
Yeah, so, for me, I don't know what is really happening, because if you take a look at it, you know, it's as if, you know, it's really getting interesting day by day for him, you know, whenever he gets on the courts, and that's
because at the quarterfinals.
Maybe that's what it means, you know, for him, because whenever he sees himself at that stage, he feels, oh, I can still do more, and that's why, of course, the man is looking for. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and tend to hear from him in the coming days.
Talking about the disappointment at the Olympic Games on the tennis court, it has come the way of America's Coco Gauff, because she lost 7-6, 6-2 to Croatia's Dona Vinkic in the third round of the women's singles. This is a disturbing one for Coco Gauff. Kingsley, one would have thought that Coco Gauff would get better of the Croatian opponent.
Yeah, definitely. Dona Vinkic should be an opponent that could possibly give Coco Gauff a very tough time. And taking a look at, you know, how she was actually adored coming down to the Olympic Games, she was the flag bearer of the United States of America, and being also that at this stage of the competition is really a disappointing one for Coco Gauff. This is not the kind of performance we expect from a player like her, you know, at the Olympic Games. So for me, I think it's really a disappointing one. She should just maybe go back and see how to put herself in shape and prepare, you know, for subsequent, you know, competition in tennis.
Well, let's wrap up with this day 5. We hope that we will get better at 6 p.m. Nigerian time when we bring you sports as all. But let's look at the medal table. South Africa seems to be still ahead of the countries from Africa that has gotten on the medal table. Kingsley, we have South Africa, Tunisia, in the first, second, and third place position coming the way of Egypt. Nigeria yet to register any presence on the medal table, but we've seen South Africa with 1 gold medal, 2 silver, and 3 bronze medal. There's been no goal yet for Tunisia, but they've gotten a bronze.
Yes, I think South Africa, they talk about Tunisia and Egypt. They've actually done their best to see what they can be able to put up down there. And you take a look at it, it's really a disappointing one where we have South Africa, Egypt, and the likes of Tunisia doing this, and then Nigeria is not even close, to getting a medal. Very, very disappointing on the medal table down here in Africa.
Talking about the medal table reminds me of the entire medal table now beyond Africa. Japan is leading with 7 gold medals, followed closely by China with 6 gold medals. Australia has another 6 as well. United States of America beginning to rake in their medals, for now have only 3 gold medals.
Yes, I think we've seen the Asian countries, of course, doing their best. The likes of Japan, the likes of China, the likes of South Korea are also trying the most can to get on the medal table. And for me, I think it's a good one for them to find the competition.
Let's quickly now go to football. And talking about football reminds me that the formality of disengagement between Paul Ofor and the Kano Pillars management has been formalized now. He's been officially disengaged, we understand, on a mutual level. This is very sad. Remember, the man was appointed, and 1 day after he was appointed, the management that appointed him was fired, and now the new management has disengaged him formally.
It's very disappointing. Paul Ofor coming from Sporting Lagos and getting down to Kano Pillars. We thought it was going to be another journey for him, but we heard that things were not done properly. His coming was not in the right route. And of course, the management, they have to dismiss his appointment. For me, it's very disappointing. He didn't even manage a game, even a training section, and he was actually let go. So it was a disappointing one down there for Paul Ofor.
Well, talking about football, it's off-season. Players are moving, coaches are moving. One player that is set to move is Kelechi Iheanacho. We understand he has been booked for medical in Sevilla of Spain.
Good news for Kelechi Iheanacho. I was so impressed when I heard that he was moving down, of course, to Sevilla. Sevilla, of course, when it has to do with European football, they're one strong side, especially they have a very good pedigree when it has to do with the Europa League. And Kelechi Iheanacho, of course, playing down there in Spain for Sevilla, for me, I think is a very, very good move, for a player like him. Having been at Leicester City for about 6 to 7 years, and he left, then down to Sevilla, for me, a very impressive move for the senior man of Nigeria.
Talking about senior man of Nigeria, Kelechi Iheanacho moving to Sevilla, Spain. He's booked for medical later today. Meanwhile, there's been a lot of reports in the media about Victor Osimhen joining Chelsea, but it looks like that is not correct, Kingsley. It is not certain that Victor Osimhen will be signing for Chelsea.
It's not really certain from reports, because we're getting a report that Chelsea wants to get him on loan. And Osimhen is big. He's a very big player. You can't just get him on loan. And I don't think Napoli want to agree on that deal. They want to actually put up an exchange between him and Romelu Lukaku. And for me, I don't think Napoli will really want to accept that particular bargain that Chelsea are really coming up with at this point in time. Would have been a very good destination for Victor Osimhen, looking at the fact that, of course, Chelsea another strong side in the English Premier League. But for taking a look at the bargain, I don't think that is what Napoli, of course, would want. Napoli, they've even refused to reduce his buyout clause of 100 million, which they've actually put it up at this point in time due to how PSG, of course, they have bargained. And then they still do not want to let the man go. It's not talking about loan. I think it will be difficult, for Napoli to let the man go, alone. And they're even putting a clause that if he doesn't perform well, they will send him back to Napoli. I think Osimhen is bigger than, such kind of bargain. They should be able to come up with something huge. Chelsea have the money. After all, they've been buying players with huge amounts of money. So they should be able to splash the cash, and get Victor Osimhen if they need him.
Chelsea, if you need Victor Osimhen, pay the money and get him without using another player to bargain about a loan deal. Well, that's the much we can take on this edition of Sports Talk. Like we mentioned today, is day 5 at the Olympic Games. A lot happening between now and 6 p.m. We'll bring results of what's happening at the Olympic Games on our program Sports Extraordinary. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human trafficking.
Honorable They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.